Yeah, I think it's recording now.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I've just popped myself out of it. Hold on. Okay. Here. Close. All right. Wonderful. Okay. Oh, okay. So thank you so much for your time today. Really excited. I always love to talk to you. You're such a wealth of knowledge and inspiration and high vibes. And I've loved watching you over the last year. Even just the Facebook posts you put up, they're always like really pretty and they make me feel good. And I loved seeing your new website. I don't know if it's new because I haven't seen it before. The one in English.
It's not new. No, I had it for a few years, yeah.
Well, I just only saw it there the other day when I was kind of researching you a little bit more to tell the team, and I thought it was just really pretty, simple, great messaging, and yeah, just very aligned with the kind of messaging that I really vibe with. So I
Thank
thought
you.
it was really well done. Yeah. And so I guess for me, I've decided that like I knew I was on like a spiritual path for a while now. I knew that's what it was called, but I didn't really feel open to like sharing it all the time or really telling my team, my customers. And I'm only really getting it now that this is the type of people that I should be working with and attracting and all of that. So I nearly got this divine message saying you should do a manifestation course with your team. And I thought it started off to be like just a little thing. I'll just get up and do a morning ritual with them and just bring some light and positivity because of all of the stuff that's been going on. And then it became this way crazy big thing that I never ever thought, but so beautiful and so much momentum and energy. And like it's showing me so many revelations and things that, you know, I kind of knew, but anyways, very exciting. So while all that was unfolding, and I said, I want to interview some really inspirational leaders in doTERRA. I didn't want to just get people that, you know, were easy to ask or that we've heard from before or whatever. And then it kind of became, what, why don't I pick people that are spiritual thought leaders as well as doTERRA leaders, and they build their business with these principles, because that would really raise the group up, right? And so of course I had to ask you. So you're like the first person in Europe that will come into my mind in that category. So so I was so happy when you said yes. So I've kind of like thought in my head about a lot of the questions that I want to ask you, just as well for my own personal reasons. But I guess first things first, because we're doing this manifestation group and we're just like learning, some of us are already really on the path and some of us haven't been on it for a while. We got thrown off. One of the things we're doing is we're doing a morning ritual where we're practicing gratitude, journaling, visualization, using our oils, using crystals, so that we're reading the book Super Attractor by Gabby Bernstein as a group. And so we're just learning and remembering to choose love and not fear and start our day with like good intention and self-care. And it's had like really strong results, like really fast. Like it's blowing my mind and the team's mind. And it's so simple. Like you hear people say this all the time. You should have spiritual practice in the morning. But you know, I don't know why we don't take this advice sometimes. So I guess what I wanted to find out from you is what kind of things would you have done in the past or more recently that you found really improved your business, your mindset, your emotional health, anything like that. I'd love to hear from somebody who's such a good person with all of this, what they do themselves.
I'm not your typical spiritual advisor. I don't think, at least. I'm very practical. I don't
Mm,
I don't meditate. I don't journal. I don't have a vision board. I don't do much of the things that you're recommended or you're supposed to do. I always start my mornings off well. We wake up when we want to. Our two girls are still in school, so they have to get up, and my husband takes care of that morning routine, and I wake up at that time naturally. And then I just sit. I don't drink coffee anymore, but I have a coffee alternative that I do. And I open my computer. You're not supposed to do that either. I don't care, because I like my groups. I just like to scroll on my phone and my computer and see what's up. And then I feel into the day. Sometimes I have things planned. Other times I don't have plans. I like to have my calendar as clean as possible. So I only schedule like a few big things during the week. I'm very available for my team if they have questions. That doesn't bother me. So I'll answer questions, go through stuff, maybe write something inspirational. If my energy seems to tank a little bit, either I become angry of something I read, I become sad because of something I hear. I always use the emotional oils. Those are like a very solid staple for me.
You mean the set of 6?
Yeah, yeah. So forgive for anger and console for sadness. Once in a while, I'll do cheer. I'll do elevation in my diffuser. Those are oils I use a lot.
So just to dig deeper on that a little bit, you put them in the diffuser and you also put them on yourself, or how do you use them exactly?
Most often I'll use the touch version. So I'll just roll it on my lower arm here. And that helps me in seconds. I'm not angry anymore. If I'm like really pissed off at something, I'll do cardamom and lime in the diffuser. That's like my big gun. But
Wow.
mostly forgive will help me. And then I'm back in my flow. And then, you know, I always have, in the beginning of the year, I set some pretty like inspirational goals for myself or desires. And that's something we could begin talking about, like what's our job and what's the universe's job, you know, because people get that mixed up. So our job is to say what we want, you know, I want this, claim it. I write it in my iPhone. You can journal it, you can vision board it, you can do whatever. And then you have to be a match, an energetic match. So I'm here, this is what I want, we have to match. I can't be in this vibration of, oh, I'm never going to, I'm not good enough, I would never, I couldn't do what Linda's doing or whatever. Then we have a mismatch. And then, you know, the energy is never gonna align. So I'm very clear on what I want. Even during the year, during the day, I'll see something and I can feel in my stomach like, oh, I want that. That would be nice. That's something I would love. Maybe it's a vase, maybe it's a trip. You know, at this point, we're not traveling, any of us, but before it could be a trip. It's just something, maybe it's a place I want to have dinner at or whatever. And then I feel into myself, is it now? If it's now, I'll just go and buy it online or book it.
How do you know that, Christine? Where do you feel that?
My gut is speaking to me, intuition. It's okay. Like, yeah, if it's now, I just take out my credit card and it's now. If I feel it.
I feel like I have that feeling too much.
Yeah.
Like I just spent, I don't know how much money last week on crystals. I just got this fairy one.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I was like, Linda, you're spending too much money on crystals. And then I saw you had the crystal thing as well. I was like, okay, I have to wait. But no, that's a really good way of describing
it. Sometimes it's not now. And I feel that because when I go on a website, I'm like, oh no, I don't like that menu. So maybe spring it'll change and maybe I'll go then, or something will feel like, not aligning. So I'm acting on that yes, and that, you know, it's like a full body yes. And if I have that, I just go do it. If I have a yes and I'm not a match, then I know, okay, there's some inner work. This is something I probably haven't done before. This is something that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. Too expensive, too whatever, too much, something that's a little bit out of what I can just, you know, act on in a normal capacity. So I go and I do a lot of inner work. I use my oils. I think about, you know, what energy would it represent for me to have that thing, and I try to live as much as possible from that energy. And then I'm asking myself, what energy would it represent not having it? and then I'm looking at where am I showing up like that in my life, and I try to downplay that a little bit. So it is something you have to, you know, practice. It's working with energy, but as long as you know that you have two jobs, what do I want, and then I need to match that, the energetic match, and then that leaves, you know, the how to the universe.
Mm.
So the how is not our job. And most people, they're like, I want this, how do I get it? And they're like, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that, I could also, and they waste all this energy. So I never figure out the how. If I'm very stressed and my mind wants to go into hows, I take a little bit of copaiba
Oh,
to just calm everything down, you know.
do you take that on your tongue?
Yeah, yeah. I do always 3 drops at night before I go to sleep. That's because it's just a staple, because I'm so sensitive. So it's nice to just have that before I go to sleep. But
Were you always that sensitive to energies, Christine, or did you develop it?
no, I was always sensitive, and for many years I didn't know how to navigate with my sensitivity, and then I ended up creating a career around it. You know, being an empath, being introverted, being private, being sensitive. Oh, I just got a new customer.
Oh yeah, love it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn off my. That's funny. I'm just gonna turn off my email. Like that. Good. Yeah, I've always been sensitive. It was something it irritated my mom a lot. She's very extroverted, very sensing, very, you know, out there. And here I was like, ooh, the sand is hot. Ooh, I don't like this. Now I'm car sick. And she was like, why did I get this sensitive person in my life? So I always felt bad about it. I knew early on, this is not a gift. This is like a curse pretty much, until I, you know, learned a lot of new beliefs, and I finally understood, wow, this is a gift, and this is my gift, and this is something I have to make a career and a life out of. So yeah, that's pretty much my story around that.
Wow. So this whole thing of matching the energetic frequency, becoming in alignment, this is coming really strong to me in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I guess I kind of knew it, but it's really coming home more and more. And this is what I've been trying to work and teach the girls more about it. And we've been covering like Abraham Hicks and getting into the vortex and creating the workshop of your life. Like you're saying, you'll see, where do I want to eat? Where do I want to go? And you're focusing on what you want and how to feel joy and ease, and not like the stress of I'm not good enough, or how do I do it? Or and that was, for me, when I met you at the Diamond Summit last year, I wasn't in the best place. I had just had a baby, and our business was like, you know, we were kind of felt like going uphill, very stagnant. And I just saw you talking and you saying like that the business was easy for you. And I was just like, at first I was like, is she crazy? Like, what is she talking about? And the more I sat there, I was like, okay, tell me how. I want to know how. And then eventually it was like after the talk, the penny just dropped for me. And I just went, she sees it like that, so she makes it like that, and she lives her whole life like that. And oh, I just got such a breath of inspiration, and not just for my business, but how I look at my parenting and how I clean my house, or, you know, everything was just like, wow. Because we're told so many things that have to be hard. Like, you know, and I love my uplines, but they were always telling me how hard it is and how you'd nearly have to go bankrupt to make it. Like, these were the thoughts that was going in. And I really started to own those thoughts like they were my thoughts. And then I was putting it onto my team, and they were putting it onto their team. And, you know, this is not going to help you grow fast. So my husband was saying, you know, it's a miracle we got to Diamond at all, the way we were vibing and thinking. And it was just through sheer grit and just not letting it go, I think, that we kept going. So it was just like a breath of fresh air. And as soon as I came back from that trip, and I think when we had the chat last year, I put up in my group the cover photo was like, I build my business with ease and grace. And I wanted to really bring that ethos to the team. And anytime I would mention you, and I think you're one of the leaders I mention the most. I mention you, I mention Elena Brower, I mention Vanessa Jean Ovens. I usually vibe with that kind of energy. And anytime I mention you, everybody's like, oh, Christine. But then just there a couple of weeks ago, I was chatting on the book club, and we talked about, you know, being careful with using the word hard, and, you know, trying to, well, not try, that's a bad word, but seeing if we could change the belief even a little bit for, you know, just to make it a little bit nicer thought. And it was really hard for the girls to do that. And I got an immediate, well, I'm not Christine Elvig. I don't have her business acumen and her skills. And I was like, yeah, I totally get it. I understand. And so that's what I wanted to ask you. Do you get that with people on your team that might think, well, I don't have a best-selling book, or I didn't have $1 million coaching business, it's easy for her. You know, what do you do to help them work through that? And like you said, get back into alignment.
I'm big about like understanding our design, and what I teach my builders is pretty much, you are enough, period. You know, punctuation. So whatever you want, if you have that desire, everything around that desire is ready to be matched by you, because otherwise you wouldn't have the capacity to think it up. And no,
I love that. Can we refresh that? Moment. I love it.
Yeah. So we don't get the same desires, and the desires we get are the ones that are ready to pop for us. End of story. Otherwise we wouldn't have those desires. So that I'm big on teaching, and I'm big on reminding people of that. And then if you're a visionary, if you're like intuitive like I am, you'll begin to feel something, and it's quite grand. And then there might be a little bit of time, you know, evolving, creating that or making that happen for you. Even when I started in doTERRA, I felt like, okay, wow, I'm going to be a presidential diamond. And I knew that, and it's taken me a few years because there was a lot of things I needed to learn. But I knew it the day I felt it, that, you know, that's going to be my future. So a lot of it is about being worthy, not feeling wrong, not feeling like there's something wrong with us. Because if we're here, oh, I'm not Christine, you know, no one's supposed to be Christine besides me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm taken, you know, we don't need more people like me, you know, that's enough.
And thank God, or it would get very scary, wouldn't it? We're all going around like each other.
I know. So we just need to own, you know, I'm who I am, and I am enough. And that can be a 5-year journey, it can be a 20-year journey, you know, whatever we want it to be. And then it's all about that fine line of not going into the how, staying on course with your desires. And then I don't know if it's a book or whatever, but a lot of my customers, they're talking about the one thing. And I don't even know if it's a book or a course or whatever, but the point is, you do one thing. Every day you do one thing. So every day I do one thing, you know, taking me further to go to my presidential diamond. Maybe it's serving customers, maybe it's talking with new prospects, maybe it's writing a book, maybe it's going for a walk, refreshing my mind, whatever. But I'm very intentional on one thing. And that's what I see with people that are not creating what they want or what they say they want. They're not acting every day. They're not, you know, walking toward that desire, and they're not doing the work, pretty much, because they're scared, or they're saying, I'm not Christine or Linda or whatever. Then you're doing a million things toward things that you don't want, and then you get that. you know?
Yeah, there was one analogy I remember hearing, and it really resonated with me. I think it was from an Abraham Hicks video I watched or something, and she said, every time you think about what you don't want, or why you can't have it, or why you're not good enough, or any of these thoughts that we all have, you're basically putting in an order with the restaurant of the universe to serve you that dinner. And it's the same as going into a canteen and picking the most disgusting, vile thing, and then sitting at the table and saying, oh, this is gross, I didn't order this. And then you're like, but you did order it, you know? And so I always think now, like, what are you ordering with that thought, Linda? Like, you know, and that helps me kind of come back when I go there. Yeah. So
If we're not aware of what's going on in our mind and our body and our emotions and whatever, then we just need to look at our results, because those are our orders. And if we want to change them, we have to change, you know, what's going on inside. Sometimes
and I remember you saying, when something would upset you, or if something wasn't going right for you that day, instead of like forcing it or trying to fix it, you would always go and have a break, sit outside with I think your husband, or was it a pet or something, and have a nice drink of something nice that you like a warm drink or something, and just go back to joy.
yeah.
And at the time I thought, oh, that sounds really smart. But now I'm looking at it, I'm going, oh, I know what she's doing. She's back to aligning herself with the joy and getting away from the bad vibration. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
making more sense to me now. But yeah. Is there anything else that you find really brings you back into alignment quickly? Or how do you notice? I guess you're very intuitive and you've been building it up. But say if somebody was new to all of this, would you give them any advice of how to spot they're going off?
I use oils. I mean, of course, we need to use our oils. And then I use...
It's funny, we don't always use the oils as much as we know about them. When we need them, we resist sometimes the care.
Yeah, so I'm very intentional. Every time I feel an emotion that I don't want more of, or results based on, I take up my oils. So I use oils all the time. I always have them with me. That's my self-care. And I love that. I feel it's so nurturing. It's like I have a need, okay, I'll take care of that need. You know, that makes the body like, oh, okay, I'm taken care of. So that's, you know, and when we're out of contact with everything and we're like, oh, sad and like a little bit crooked in our energy, we don't get the resource, you know, ideas. So it's difficult for us to just act on that. So I'm very intentional on reminding me of that. If I can't figure out a way to do things on my own, I ask for help. Sometimes I'll book a healer. Sometimes my friend, she does tapping, like the thought field therapy. So she'll take me through a session over the phone. Other times I'll go to a body, whatever. But since I got the oils in my home, those are the ones that are really creating most of my changes these days.
Wow.
Then I have this crystal. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about. Is it called Inagi or something?
Inagi, yeah, it's a Danish couple, and it's infused with this 0.0 technology. So you don't have to put it out in the moonlight once a month. So it's like it'll go and recharge itself, and it will take everything in the house back to 0.0. So if something is too much, it'll be taken a little bit down. If something is not enough, it'll be raised a little bit. So when we got this crystal, my teenage son, he was like, oh my God, can we throw this out? I can't stand this. So all the emotions and things he had going on, he's very sensitive like me. They were like, ugh. And then you're aware of it, you see it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I need to change that, you know. So that's something I have in my house. It's easy. I put it there. I put an intention with the crystal. It helps me. It's like a soul.
How do you put the intention, Christine? Is it just hold it and say it, or what do you do?
Yeah, I just, like I would tell you, can I have a cup of tea? I just told the crystal, can you make sure that our energy is just high and that everything is in, you know, divine order and we're supported and taken care of, stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. And so so you don't need to cleanse that crystal or charge it?
Never.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
And they also take away, well, they restructure the cells. So with all the F5G and all that stuff we're concerned about, it'll go and help the cells readjust, and so you don't get any trouble from all the electronics in the house. And even food and water is structured in a big way. Yeah.
Wow. And do you have them like around the house or just one? Or how does it
I have
work?
this one, that's enough for a whole house. And then I have a pad in my bra that I have when I'm out, and I don't have.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's just like a soft padding that you're adding in.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Some women, they have like a little bag with all the crystals. This is a pad that's it's pulverized. Do you say that in English? So,
yeah, like very small.
Yeah, so because I couldn't have all that stuff in my bra.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Yeah. Like what is these? Like in your bra.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that was a little bit too much for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I could agree on that, definitely. Oh.
Yeah. So,
wow.
So I do like, I secure my success all the ways that I possibly can. And then I'm very aware of, what's my work? What do I feel guided to? And sometimes we feel guided to things that are like easy and fun. Other times it's like a stretch. It's like, when I did my book on oils, I love writing it. And then as soon as it was out, I felt like, oh God, now I have to do it in English. And, it's my second language, and I don't have a lot of problems speaking, but it's like, oh, it's a lot to do something in a different language. And I felt like I had written the book already, and here I was, being guided to translate it. And then I use oils for like that resistance. That's when I take my Motivate out, and I do peppermint up my nose like a lot.
So how do you know that it's not the wrong thing to do when it feels tough? Versus it's the wrong thing?
I'm so intuitive that usually I'm right. If an oil doesn't do anything for me, that's a sign that, that wasn't the one. So then I'll try a different oil. But usually,
So if you are going to say, right, Christine, sit down and start this book translation, and you put on Motivate would be like a go-to one for that, and it still wasn't really vibing with you, would you walk away and go and do something to bring you into alignment, or what would you do?
Yeah, and I walked away from my book many months. I finished the one in July, I think, and then I just finished the one right now here in March. So it's still good to do 2 books in a year, but my timing, I could have done it way before that, because I hadn't nothing else to do in this lockdown. I just and one day I felt like I need some big guns now. And then I do you know the book with the doTERRA? This is one of my...
Yes, I have one. I have that, but I've never really studied it very deeply. You find it good?
I'm big on her blends. They're really effective. And she has a blend called Run With It. And I created that, or mixed that one up, and then I just run with the book pretty much.
Wow.
Also have had a session with a great person on she does Akashic clearings, and this
is so funny, when you hear these synchronicities or serendipity or whatever, you're the 4th person I've heard about that this week, and I'm kind of like, okay, what is this? That's great. Okay, so
I can send you some links for some very good people.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. Yeah.
She said that I had been a spiritual teacher for many lifetimes, and I had been crucified and whatever for sharing my work. And she's like, it makes sense that you don't want to do a book if all you're going to attract is more of a crucifixion, So I felt like, oh, okay, we need to clear that. So I kind of play with it.
Oh, Christine, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I heard 2 other thought leaders that I had been researching last week while creating my course, and they both said, we are, as women, we were for so many generations burned at the stake, killed, even up until 70 years ago, or even maybe more recent in England, I don't know, but it's such ingrained in our head now to block down the intuition, block down white witchcraft, like, you know, even the word, it's like, oh, but really it's probably just means you're getting in touch with nature and your intuition, and you're putting good intentions and all the things that they did to mess with our magical abilities and our sense of like wonder and all these fantastic things that I've always been drawn to. But I pushed it down and I was scared of it, and like I was so scared to share with my group things that were really becoming more clear to me and personal, like, you know, that I get signs from my cat. And even because it was a cat, I really thought like they're gonna think I've like gone off the deep end here. But I said, you show up and you speak your truth, and if people don't like that, that's okay. You can deal with that. Like the people who need to hear you, that will love it, resonate, they need to hear. You need to show up for them. And so I pushed it all week. I kept sharing more and more and more and more, and it just created such a vibe and energy. And there was so many people that were, and it just totally changed my mind. And now I'm like, okay, you need to do this in a public like page or YouTube, or you know, you need to, not just in your lovely little sweet group. So I'm working on that. But I think there's such a fear of sharing when you believe in like even mediums, channels, crystals, there's so many, like Akashic, there's so many things, there's so many avenues. But yeah, for me, I find it draws me. If I hear it, I need to know. And I remember years ago, I met this really beautiful palliative care proper doctor at a Mind, Body and Soul event. And she was telling me about this thing called the Modern Mystery School, and I had never heard of it. And it was like, you learn all the histories of the Egyptians, and I was like, oh my gosh, this just sounds so cool. And I was so drawn to it. And then we made a joke about, and she was showing me her crystal collection, and I made a joke about Irish fairies. And she got very insulted, like really quickly. She was like, don't make fun. They do exist. I've seen them. And I didn't know whether she was being serious with me or not. Like that was too far for my brain to go with her on that journey. But of course I was very respectful, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I you know, I don't know. I've never seen them. So it was my own, like, you know, idea that they weren't. But anyways, whether they are or not, or whatever that was, it just made me realize that like there's loads of things that you don't know. That why would you just shut down on somebody else because in your logical brain you've never experienced it? And so it made me more, and that's actually why I bought this crystal of the fairy, to remember that lady, because like you, she really like touched me when she spoke. So she wasn't scared to speak her truth. And she was a doctor, you know, and she really was an interesting person to meet. So I love as well people like you and the other doTERRA leaders that go out and speak the truth of their truth, you know, and they're not afraid of the judging or the what you're saying. Back in the day, they would have been hung for saying things like that or burned. And that's amazing that you got that message, that actually happened to you in a past life. That's crazy. So is that what the Akashic means? It's stuff that's happened, your infinite knowledge or something like that?
The Akashic records, it's like it's everything you did while you were in a physical body that had a consequence. So that consequence has an energy, and that energy is recorded. So when we are born into a new body around our teenage years, all of these consequences hit us. And every time we then act differently, like in one lifetime, maybe you had a terrible divorce and you chose to never date men again, whatever. Then in this life, you're single, you can't figure out the thing with men, but then you consciously say, I want to change this. So you act on it, you work on your vibration, then that will have different consequences. And now you've changed whatever, you know, you had done previously. So that's why for me here I was, I think writing a book in Danish, it was comfortable, it was fun and easy, and I knew it wouldn't piss more than 6 million people off because, you know, small country. But then here I was, you know, oh my God, I have to do this in English. I'm like, okay, now we're talking the world. Now I'm out, you know, pretty much.
Oh yeah, so Denmark is very small, like Ireland. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize it was as small as that. Okay.
So small, and nobody really cares about oils. So it was like a small crowd, and that was cool for me, you know.
And
And
what did you go deep in that book with some of your kind of beliefs and teachings and stuff, or was it very oil?
it's the one you have in English. It's the same. It's just in Danish. It's a little bit of my teachings, but mostly descriptions of the oils.
Okay.
Then there's also this the doTERRA component, like being compliant. I'm such
Yes.
a terrible advocate for being compliant because I'm like, oh, you should totally use this for headache, or I mean, but never mind. You know, I'm like, oh, so
I know that has stopped me so much last year. I felt such fear around all of that.
so exaggerated during COVID, and we
Yeah.
can't do anything. So I felt like, oh, I'm not going to do a book in English on this. It's just too
The
much.
one thing I have noticed as someone who's been with the company since the end of 2014 is that it comes in like these peaks of compliance scares, and everybody's like crazy for like a year or 6 months, and then it just kind of goes away. And so I kind of have to just say to myself now, look, just keep your head down a little bit while there's all the extra focus. But even right at the end of the day, if I was to put a YouTube video up and I made a slip and I said something that I shouldn't have said, like, the worst that could happen is they're going to ask you to take the video down. It's not like they're going to obliterate your whole thing you've built up. And so I had to tell myself, like I always do when I'm in the right zone, what's the worst that could happen, and to try and, you know, break through the blocks. And
Yeah, that's
yeah, but I totally get that compliance fear. It's like a,
at some point we just have to look at everything that's coming up for us, and it's never about what we're doing. That's how I understand it. It's like it wasn't about fear of writing in English or whatever. It was a fear I couldn't name it.
mm,
Then when I hire someone and they clear it, and they, you know, clear the blocks, then I'm like, okay, I'll finish the book, no problem. So I finished my book after that clearing in weeks, and now it's out, and I'm like, this is
and
great.
are you going to sell it, or are you just giving it for free?
I'm giving the ebook away for free. Because my team, they love it. It's easier for them to build. They just hand out my ebook, and then people are like, oh, okay, now I need this oil and that oil, and who can
Wow.
that oil? So it's something I do for free.
That's a really great thing you did for your team. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Then, but it's free for everyone. The English book is free for, you know,
Yeah,
everyone.
because at first when you sent me the link, I was like, I better not share that in case like she's planning to sell this, right? That's what I just assumed. And then I was like, no, it seems to be part of her whole strategy. So I was like, okay, I think I can share that. I didn't get a chance to read it because that was the week that I
Yeah,
was in like 14 hours doing all this
yeah.
passion project that started off. But I'm like, when I get time to sit down and have a good cup of herbal tea and enjoy that, I know from talking to you and even just a few things you've dropped in today, your knowledge of the oils as an intuitive person, it really excites me to learn new tips and tricks off, you know, because, and I've been very drawn lately to more the esoteric spiritual side of learning about the emotions, because I was a very practical person coming into this. You know, I taught skincare, doing your teeth, doing your immunity, cleaning your house, which is really important. You know, I'm like really good at that stuff. But the emotion side, I'd be like, yes, it smells nice. Which one do you like? Here, buy the emotions book. Don't ask me too much. I didn't want to get into it. And now I've been very drawn to the Gifts of the Essential Oils book by Vanessa and Adam. I just liked the framework of that I could remember the elements, and I liked the practical of it, like that it, you know, they thought it through. And again, like you had all this knowledge of other things like angels and plants and crystals, and just all coming together. So it's, for me, that's the direction I can see myself going. And when we look at our businesses, right, like I know for you, you're one of the top growing teams, if not the best growing diamond, I think, in Europe last year. Yeah. And you look at Vanessa and Adam and their teams, like huge, growing such a rapid rate. That's not by accident. Like, you know, we have to be aware of that. Because at first I was like, well, people, what, maybe they won't like me if I start talking about crystals or angel guides. And then I was like, well, hold on a minute. If the top people can, you know, speak their truth and attract their vibes, why would not be any different for any of us, you know? So, and if we're really helping people on an emotional level, like really going deep, they're definitely going to become oilers, like, as I like to call us. Like, it will develop it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
wow. So where do you get most of your information from? Like, are you kind of intuiting it, or are you getting bits from books, or is it all just a whole mix for you?
The information in my ebook, or what information?
Just your whole way you use your oils, even at home.
Yeah. I do a lot of intuition. I love the emotional book. I don't know what to call it, Essential Oils and Emotions, maybe. I love that book. Yeah. And my book is up that alley pretty much. It's based on the emotional side and then the spiritual side. I think with my spiritual insights, I did a lot of studying and research. I've met Louise Hay. I traveled to a spa just to meet her in Arizona. I've done.
You obviously interviewed that amazing author, Gay Hendricks. Was that his name? Yeah.
I'm doing another interview with him for my team, so you can get that replay if you want to. He's happy to share the upper limit problem.
Awesome.
And
can I just give you a message that's just coming through to me, right? Yeah. You need to do more in English for all of the people in doTERRA. We need more Christine. So please keep doing the YouTube videos in English and doing the, like, whatever courses you're going to run. I know our team would be really like, wow, you know, with that stuff. So
I'm planning on doing like a short video course, first in Danish just to chill out a little bit, but then in English, and like a shorter version of my education that I did a few years back, but combined with all the oils. So manifestation 101 and emotions and all that stuff, relationships.
Fabulous. Bringing all your strengths together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just playing with it pretty much. And I understand the law of compensation. I understand that if I provide my talents to the world, I'm going to be compensated. Maybe it's not, you know, you're not paying me for this interview.
No.
But I just got a client during the interview, you know. So it's just handled. It's in order, and I trust that deeply. And I talk to my builders a lot around not having success is like a very refined form of hiding. And if we're hiding our talents, and if we're not providing service to others and ourselves, then we're not being compensated. And it's not because there's like a judge up in the sky. It's just because it's the law of compensation and the law of attraction. So we can't hide and feel small and insignificant and say, you know, oh, she does it better than me, and then expect to be compensated. It doesn't work that way. So that's something I'm strong on, just giving out what I have, my talents, and then trusting that I'll be compensated in different ways. This morning before this interview, I received a lot of vegetables and fruits from Spain. And deep appreciation. Here are these guys, they're like, you know, creating all this stuff. I almost feel like for me, you know, and that's a form of compensation too. You know, these tomatoes that I can't go to Spain and eat right now, they can come to me. And my job is just to be me and share that with the world. And I trust that if I'm going through something, or if I'm having, you know, great results from oils or crystals or whatever, then there's going to be men and women out there that are going to be inspired by that. So I focus on that. And then if it's a little bit too much for me to do something in English, I work on that and then I go do it. You know, it's not something I don't do for 10 years, but I allow myself not to do it for maybe 6 months. Yeah.
So we actually have a lot of business partners in our London team where English would be their second language, and like quite a large team from all different cultures. It's a beautiful team. And I would say that this English is the second language is a big one that holds people back from going online. So what would you suggest? Would you suggest, because I was kind of thinking, if that was me and I was one of them, I would be focusing like doing my native language too, because they're not doing that really online. Though there is one group of them that are actually, they seem to be doing quite well. But so even though they don't live in a country like England where the predominant language is, say, Chinese or German or whatever, would they be better off still to create sales? Because you're a master at online marketing too. I've noticed that you definitely, you know what you're doing. You're not new at this rodeo. So would you, if you were, let's say, living outside of Denmark, you would still definitely do everything in Dutch as well as your English stuff, right?
I don't know what to give for that advice. I feel like you could succeed either way. It's not about the language. It's about getting out there in whatever way you feel comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable, then fix that and then go do it, you know.
Which one feels better? Which one feels more
Yeah.
energetically aligned for you? Yeah.
I enjoyed hiding also from the doTERRA founders, you know. When I had my speak, you know, in Tenerife with you, Kurt came into the room, and then Jared came into the room, and then Jason. I'm like, there are maybe 10 people in this room, and we have 5 corporates. I'm like, now I can't speak anything, so my mouth was completely dry. And
I have to say, I thought it was the most beautiful thing, because you were actually talking about like all your intuitive abilities, and I can't remember exactly, but it just completely like blew my mind that you were able to talk about all that, and they were like so like cool with it, and like, you know, and I was like, this is exactly the company that I want to be aligning myself with, where people can shine in all different, you know, in doTERRA, and I don't really want to go into this too much, but obviously there is a lot of different spiritual religions, you know, things like that. And for me personally, I don't care what you follow as long as you're a happy, good person. But sometimes if you're not in that kind of, I guess, way of thinking, you might feel a bit left out, right? And so for me, when I heard you speak, I was like, oh, somebody's speaking to me now. I'm like, yes. But I just had so much respect for Kurt and the people in the room, because they seem to love what you were saying. And the thing is, Christine, like, you had the results. So,
yeah.
you know, you can't question someone that's having phenomenal growth in their business like that. And there's different, and this is when we first talked this morning about us doing spiritual practice, and I asked you what you did. I'm really happy that what you answered, because what I've learned, especially again over the last couple of weeks, is that there is no such thing as like the right one. There's no, but there's a heaviness to it when you don't realize that. So like for years, my husband is a brilliant meditator, and you know, I kind of thought, well, I'm not that spiritual, so I can't do meditation, and I find yoga can be really tough for me to sit through. And so then I wouldn't value what did feel good. And then I realized for me, it is journaling and visualizing. That's like where I come into my beautiful divine space and get all my messages and get all my crap out. So I have to make the time for it and prioritize it. And I like to, you said, you know, no, I just like to get up when it feels right for me and do things that feels aligned, because that was the point I was trying to make to the whole team. It doesn't matter what you do. Really doesn't matter, but just find the thing that's gonna have that effect on you emotionally and spiritually and all that. So, and for you as a spiritual like teacher of these principles, to have your own thing is just like really, it comforted me when I heard that, because there's probably loads of people on the manifestation group that we are this community we're building who aren't going to like what I'm teaching, you know, obviously, but they're open to at least look and try it out. And that's all you have to do. Try it. No, it's not for me. Move on till you find the things that you do fill you with joy. So that I really like to hear that as well when you said that. What else did I want to ask you? Oh yeah, of course. This is really important to me. So I'd love to know, like, what is your lifestyle now like as a diamond, as a team that's really growing? Because because we haven't gone to the conventions, we haven't been meeting each other in person, it's easy for us to lose sight of why we're doing this, and we don't feel as connection, the inspiration. So one of the main reasons I wanted to ask the other leaders to come on and tell us more about their own stories is just to hear, like, why should we keep going when we're down at a rank and we've been stuck there for a long time? I know that's never happened to you necessarily, but if you were, say, at elite for 3 years or silver for a year, or 2 years or whatever, what is it that you like about the lifestyle you've created now that keeps you going? Because you could do anything, I would think, and you'd succeed at it. You're very ambitious and smart and intuitive. So why should we all keep on this journey? Question.
For me, I was burned out on the whole self-help industry. I was burned out on having women go through my course, me having to be like in charge of their progress. That was something I was totally burned out of. So for me personally, it's way more aligned to my style. I can talk about an oil, I can create an ebook, but I'm not responsible for someone's growth. They're not in my certification program. They're not supposed to come out as a certain whatever. So that was the thing for me personally. I love the lifestyle. I love that I can work from my computer anywhere. Once the world opens up a little bit more again, for sure we're going to spend 3 months here, 3 months there. I love that. It's so easy. And I think it comes down to your why. doTERRA is big on having a why. For me, my why was I wanted an automated income that could take over from the one I had. So I was successful before. I'm not making more money now than I did before. I will once I reach more ranks. But at this point, I think I'm at 17,000 euros. So it's a good salary.
It's good as a diamond.
Yeah, I'm big on power of 3, so I have that twice.
Mm.
Yeah, and my unilevel.
Wow, you have, how many legs do you have?
I have 6 legs.
Oh yes, you have it twice. Yeah, what am I thinking? That's just so mind-blowing to me that I'm like, what? Are you going for double diamond? So funny. Wow. Good advice, Christy. Good advice. Yes.
So I have that built out, and now I'm just working on the final elites, and then I'll be blue and then PD pretty soon after that.
I have this kind of feeling as well that, like, it's a big jump to go from, say, like, I know to get from silver to solid gold for me was really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then to get up to diamond solid was fairly tough, but I think to get to blue will be a jump. I have this feeling that from blue to presidential, for me, I can't speak about it, will be like, I'm done already. Like from platinum to diamond, it was 2 months. It was just like, what's platinum? I don't even know that right. So I think, yeah, because once you grow into the leadership and really as this person of greater service, and you know, then the other rank would come quickly. That's what I'm thinking. And I think that will probably happen for you as well, it sounds like.
My diamond was easy. I sailed into that one in 6 months without any.
I thought it was 1 year. Oh my word. Wow.
And then I feel like blue diamond has been such a stretch for me. It's taken so many layers out of me. The book, and then the English book, and then all kinds of things I had to deal with and organize in my organization, and drama and all kinds of stuff. And then also the growth is organic in the legs. And in order to reach presidential diamond, you need those elites, 54 of them. So I may have a leg that takes off, but then I still have to finish all the other legs, you know. So
Are you a high enroller every month? Would you enroll a lot?
It used to be when I did my 6 months to diamond, I would enroll 14, 18 a month. And then I think after, maybe after Tenerife, maybe I've been enrolling not that much, like 3, 4 people, maybe 8. But I've been okay with it. I've been like, okay, I need some time to regroup and embrace this rank and kind of own my blue diamond, And yeah, so
And
I'm
do you have other diamonds or other ranks under you of the same or level, or is it all below you?
um, I have I have some platinums, but I don't have any diamonds yet. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you do have some platinums already, though. That's pretty good. Yeah. Because you started what? Is it coming up to 2 years now in May or June?
Years in May. Yeah, yeah. So I'm being, you know, very firm on my goal and my desire. That's what I want. And then when they announced Oman was coming up for the presidential diamond trip, I almost died. I felt like now I have to now I have to get off the sofa. You know,
Really? Oh.
it was just something with me and Oman. I felt like
Oh,
Frank.
you wanted to go and see the frankincense, or?
It's just something I want to eat the hummus, and you know, I don't want to do it all. And it was a deep sadness when I didn't. I saw it's not going to be this year, you know. But now with COVID, I'm like, are they even going this year? Maybe it's next year, you know. So I'm still firm.
Oh.
You know, I want to go to Oman, and maybe it will take COVID a little bit for everyone to wait until Christine becomes the presidential diamond, and then we can go.
You can still manifest it even though it didn't look like it at the time. It's impossible still.
It's just something I said I really want that, you know. And yeah, so and then there's a thing.
Sound like someone that gets very motivated by pleasure versus pain.
I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm like, and you know, now I have, you know, enough money to live comfortably. We can travel. I can buy my vases and my flowers and my fruit from Spain and all that. So in order to be more motivated than that, I need something like a diamond trip, or you know, that motivates me a lot. Yeah, so pleasure, I'm all about pleasure, and I find pleasure in so many small things, like a nice cup of tea and a pretty Easter egg. And then I'm like,
And
why?
I can see that in your social media. I can see you make me feel pleasure when I'm looking at this lovely, like, just a pretty laptop with a nice glass of wine and some chocolates, and you're like, I'm about to just chill out with something, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was at Christine's house. Looks like she's having a great old time.
Yeah, so the good thing is I find joy in small things, but then, you know, sometimes I need a little bit of self-motivation in order to do bigger things. So I'm like, now I have the book out. I'm doing adverts on Facebook for the book, and
Oh,
and now
that's a good strategy, Christine. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
my list, and then of course when people end up on your list, they have to get to know you. They have to, you know, get that know, like, and trust factor. So now I have to keep writing them and sending them
So
videos.
now you have to come up with a sales funnel for English, right? If you're going to do the English thing. Yeah.
Funnel is so simple. It's like, see this ad, get my ebook, and then hear from me once in a while, and then maybe, you know, you'll sign up for the oil sometime.
And how do they hear from you? Is it on a newsletter, or do you put them into a groups on Facebook, or what do you do to stay in touch with them?
Yeah, newsletter, and then my groups are for my enrollments, because it's a lot of work and energy, and I didn't want to do that with just new people that hadn't even signed up. You can do that. Some people love that. For me, I don't love that. Yeah, so I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Mm, interesting. Yeah. No, yeah, because I've often debated about whether I should do a different group for just the public. The lady that I originally saw who was very into animal, she's an animal medium, and she got me through the really roughest patches with losing like my soul pet, two of them actually right back to back. And I just noticed with her, she was on YouTube and her quality of videos was not great, like as in like the camera, the lighting, the audio, all that, but her message was so brilliant for people that were looking for that. And then she drove people into the Facebook group, which is like massive groups, 30,000 people, and she's charging very high prices, and she has a 5-month waiting list. So I just thought, wow, like that's a really, I love looking at the strategies, you know, of people who can succeed, and there's so many. We just, again, we have to find the one that we vibe with. So
play with it, and as long as you're sharing, you know, providing service, sharing your true self, then the right people will feel that, and then everything is taken care of.
And just like you said, when you're putting in the effort, the universe delivers these gifts. Like, you know, I think you had actually a law. I didn't even know there was that such a name of a law. What was it? The law of compensation, right? So last Friday night, I was so tired. I had been working like 14 hours a day. I was exhausted, but I had made a commitment to myself that I would do 3 new YouTube videos. And I went upstairs, instead of going and watching a movie with my husband like I really wanted to do, I went and did shower, makeup. I sat at the computer for 6 hours and I was like, come on, Linda, you have to do it. And then the next morning, I realized that all the videos were lagging. So they were all gone. And at first I just had a little cry for like 5 minutes because it was just like, whoa. And then I was like, you're out of alignment now. You need to come back. What was the lesson? This is fine. It's not a big deal. Anyways, on Monday morning, after I had done my first full moon ceremony with the group, which I've never done. Again, I was pushing my comfort zone. I was just intuitively doing what I would do if nobody was watching me. I woke up and I went outside to get my crystals from outside with my little baby. And this phone call started coming in, and I answered the phone, and this woman, like beautiful, lovely lady, she rings me and she's like, oh, I saw you on the Mind Body website. I'm very interested about low tox living, and I might want to look at it for my energy business as well. And I've been on that site, Christine, for a year. I've never had one lead, not one phone call, you know, and I had done those 6 hours to give him my YouTube link, so at least I'd get some traffic to my new channel. And of course, didn't happen, but I still got the call, you know, and I just thought, wow, that is manifesting. And that is, again, you put the effort in, the universe is saying, yeah, here you go. So it's interesting to hear you actually had a name for that. So that's so good. And then also I noticed that I asked 3 people that I really admire and love, wanted to chat to on business and spiritual things, and they all said yes, because I was a little bit scared to ask the other 2 because I've never talked to them very much. I just thought, you know, no wonder their businesses are growing, because they're warm and they replied and they were open, you know. And sometimes with doTERRA you get people that just, you know, they're too busy, and that's fine, but even they don't reply, and it's like, oh, you feel a bit sad. But then you have to push forward and not take it personally, or let it put you on a bad vibe, right? You have to push and ask these questions. So interesting. Okay, so what else did I want to ask you? I had 1 or 2 other things. Oh yeah, of course. 2 other questions that's really strong in my mind to ask you. Number 1, you are obviously, after mentioning loads of the principles that we've been looking into, and you are just after saying that one of the things you used to do was teach manifestation. So what kind of tips or tricks would you say that a doTERRA group of spiritually minded people could do with hearing that maybe helps with the manifestation? Is there anything else, like certain crystals or certain oils or different exercises or anything like that? Or do you think it's just all intuitive that we should do what we feel right with?
Say what you want, and then you go be a match to that. And you do the one thing every day in order to be a match. And then end of discussion. You don't need more stuff than that.
Okay.
So
doing the one thing every day, just to clarify, that means getting yourself into the right space, not necessarily moving your business, or is it a bit of both?
It means both. Being in alignment, being in you know, making positive choices for yourself, all the things that you're guided to do, but then every day act on one thing, on the physical plane. Call someone, write something, book something, do something each day. If you want to do 10 things, that's good, but one thing every day at a minimum.
And be happy with that if that's all you got done that day. Just be like kind to yourself. Yeah.
Everyone that's not at the rank that they want to be at, they're not doing one thing every day in that direction, for sure.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. And I guess every time you do one thing, it's building up the belief, it's building up your confidence, it's making you feel less out of alignment, less guilt, all these things.
When we don't act on our dreams, we re-traumatize ourselves. So it's like a very vicious cycle. When we act, and when we act out of our comfort zone, we heal our own wounds. And it's just very, that's self-care for me, you know, acting on my desires. That's the most loving self-care I know, taking care of me and my desires and my wants and, yeah, my goals.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and I think a lot of the women on my team as well, we are mothers. Some of us have small babies, some of us are pregnant, and you can lose yourself in that time a little bit if you know, especially if you're not aware of these things, you can really lose yourself. Even for me, I'm fairly aware, and I've really lost myself a couple times now, just because the sheer like child is always needing you, that it can be hard to juggle. So one thing that I did learn recently was, if I do get up, because I'm not a morning person, Christine, I'm more of a late night person. And so, but it was more because I was pregnant, I was getting up to go to the bathroom, and then I wasn't able to fall asleep. And I was like, oh, this is fabulous. This must be how everybody feels. They just get up at 6, 7 and off they go. The birds are singing. So I said, I'm going to use this to my advantage. And I noticed that I could get like 3 or 4 hours of headspace before my baby woke up. And it was just revolutionary. And I was like, why didn't I do this all this time? But it just, it didn't even occur to me, to be honest with you, really. So yeah, I think that self-care and just little thing, like when I felt sick during January and February with the pregnancy, I was at the hospital a couple of times and it wasn't me at all. And so I had noticed that I wasn't using my oils, I wasn't doing my skincare, like all the things that I know, and I knew I wasn't doing it too. And I was kind of like, you're acting really strange. What's going on? Like trying to check in, but still like the resistance was so strong. And so I just said, okay, Linda, today you just do 5 minutes of your skincare. That's it. That's all I want you to do. I'm like talking to myself, you know, little baby gentle. And then I did that for a few days. And then next one was like, okay, I'm starting drinking my water again. And all of a sudden, like I just got back into my alignment quite quickly. So it was powerful.
Yeah, I don't know when I heard this, but I have 3 kids. And one woman, she said, treat little Christine as your number 4. So remember to give all of them the same attention and care. And that changed everything for me back then, because my kids were young at the time. So I always made sure also to take care of me, you know, making agreements with my husband saying, you know, can I have me time from 4 till 6? And, you know, can you serve a glass of wine a little bit like 5:30, and then I'll come out of the room, you know.
And he's lovely. Your husband was so nice when I met him. He's just like really good energy, so supportive of you. It was lovely to see. Yeah.
Yeah. So I take care of me also, and I teach young moms and even teenage moms that too. We can't use that excuse that we have kids, because we also have ourselves, and you know, it's equally important.
And sometimes you begin to hide behind the kids too, right? You use it as an excuse to yourself when you're feeling low. Oh, well, I can't do that because, you know, I have to go and do this, or.
Yeah. And everyone will understand that. Oh, she's a mom of 4, you know, leave her alone. And, you know, it all comes down to us acting on the things we want to have more of, saying no to the things that we don't want to have more of. And pretty much that's it. And I feel it's important to understand that people buy from us. So when people want to buy something from us, they're buying us. They're not buying doTERRA oils, because they could have bought them from anyone else, you know. So when they choose us, it's because there's a vibe. There's something they're supposed to learn from us. And that's so important to understand, I feel like. Yeah.
I totally agree as well. Like and what I'm seeing with my team is that I don't care if they're really active doTERRA or they're just kind of vaguely interested. I always invite them into whatever groups. Next month we're running our first online sales funnel training. So like we're just all new to this as well. But I said to them, I was like, if you want to focus on your yoga business or your coaching business or whatever business that's going to bring you happiness and abundance, we're here to help you with that. Because as well, I know like you, it all comes back around whatever's meant to come around. And if those people were drawn to us and we actually get to provide that for free, it's, for me, I just love that, because I spent years doing masters in marketing and all my coaching, and now I get to give that to anyone, but I still get paid really well. And I just loved that whole concept as well. And same with but I wasn't giving it to the customers as much. I was definitely like, I don't know, not as good with training them and retention. So it's an area that I'm really working on as well now, and just showing up. Like for me, doing the YouTube channel, yes, I'd love to get traffic and get people to see what we do, but it's also the best place for my customers to just go on and say, oh, there she's talking about that skin thing, or, you know, now we know which oils are. So
Yeah.
it's massive.
Ola is saying something. I definitely lost myself. My son and my business were my world for years, and I did nothing for myself. Yeah, so true. Yeah.
And there's so many women on the team that are in that boat, and I was in the boat, and I'm like saying all these wonderful things to myself now, and I'm somewhat kind of worried that when the baby comes in July, what will happen again, you know, because yeah, but I feel more confident than the last two times that won't happen. And I'm working through mom guilt about hiring an au pair, because I've enjoyed the last couple of weeks. Working has been like beautiful experience for me, because I'm doing something again that's in alignment. And I don't want to let that go now. You know, of course I still want to have the newborn phase and really embrace the wonders of the baby and stuff, but I have to feed my soul and my work and connect with my friends and stuff like that. So it's really good timing that I'm figuring this out, because I could have went into another kind of hole for another year or two for sure. I know I'm very capable of doing that, because when you build a doTERRA business that's pretty decent, you have the option of just taking time off, and you know, that's one of the things I love. Like, I don't know about you, Christine, but have you had to take off like a month or two because of a family issue or an illness or something like that? Not yet.
But I could have if I wanted to, you know. I work very minimal hours, and then you could say I work a lot, because I'm always reading something or researching something, or, you know, I'm doing an interview with Adam, the gift of essential oils, Adam, and I watched a 6-hour summit from Australia, just to kind of research him a little bit and understand more about how do I want to do my interview with him. So
Wow.
But it doesn't feel like work. It's me sitting in my bed, you know, drinking tea, eating chocolate, watching those 6 hours. So it's not something I'm like drained about when I'm done, you know.
I totally get that. I was working like from 6 in the morning till 11 or 12, and I was forcing myself to go to bed because I had to get up at 6. But I just enjoyed like talking to my team, putting the content together, reaching out to people like you, and like thinking, what would I ask them? And it was just such a creative, beautiful thing. And that's what I think, you know, we have to remember our why, as you pointed out. When we are stuck in a rank or in those kind of places, and how can we bring more passion into what it is that we're doing? And there's loads of people in this group particularly who have done all these other courses like Reiki or angels or crystals, but they haven't really found the way to package themselves or put it online, you know. And so I don't know, do you have any advice for anybody that's in that situation? Have you found that on your own team?
I feel like it's a lot of inner work, working with worthiness, if you don't feel like you have an expertise, then you need to study a little bit more. And that's what I did when I learned about spirituality. I went on 3 Abraham Hicks cruises.
Oh, did you really? Oh, fantastic. I love your Abraham Hicks head as well.
Yeah, my sister and I, before she had her babies and mine were old enough for me to leave them, we did, it was so much fun. We got drunk then.
Wow.
Night at the disco, couldn't find our room because they all look alike on a cruise ship, and we were like, oh. but we had so much fun, and it taught me a lot about joy and just being in that energy. And once you do that, people want what you're having. I mean, we're all selling an energy that people don't have available at the moment. So they're buying what we're selling in order to get that energy. So that energy needs to be vibrant, it needs to be exciting, and it needs to be valuable. But no matter where we are on our journey, there's always someone who's like 3 steps, behind us. So we can always teach them. And then when we grow, maybe we lose them as a customer, maybe not. But then there are new people showing up that are right behind us. It was.
I know, and this is that some other spiritual person I listened to this week was saying about the law. Oh, I think it was Gabby Bernstein's book, this law of abundant thinking, and like there's always enough customers, there's always enough money, there's always enough builders. It's never like, oh well, I can't have what Christine has because I didn't. It's always about thinking expansively, that abundant mindset, and I think that's.
Yeah.
So powerful. What other courses have you done or books have you read that really were big shifts for you? I'd love to know that.
I have 4 books here because you asked me. So this is Louise Hay, Heal Your Life in Danish. And she wrote her initials in it. So it's like one of my pictures.
I've never read any of her books. She's one of your great teachers, huh? Wow.
My son was just a few months old, and I was in a mommy group, and this other mom gave it, not this version, but her mom's version, and I read it. I was just mind blown of the whole body soul connection.
Which one was that, Christine?
Heal Your Life.
Heal Your Life. Yeah, that's the one I've heard of the most, probably.
And she goes into abundance in this book too, and she talks about setting up containers for abundance to land in your life. And when I read that, I was like, God, I need some containers. And
what does that mean?
As she said, abundance is like the ocean. There's more than enough for everybody. If you go to the ocean and you just have your hands, the water's gonna fall out before you reach the towel. So that's not a good container. You can have a bucket. And then she said, you can also have like a pipe. And that's when I understood the whole thing about automated income, passive income. So I was like, I need some pipes. I need big pipes. So I worked on that after reading this book. And I understood, why did I have headaches back then? Why was I nearsighted? Why, this and that. So it was just mind-blowing. And it works so well with the oils, because they are also about the body, mind, soul connection. Yeah, so I love this book. And then, of course, The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks. He was one of my mentors. I wrote him, I read the book, and I felt like I want to meet this guy. That seems to be my style. I seek these people out, and I always have success with connecting with them. And he became a great mentor.
Wow.
I was in a business relationship with a woman here in Denmark. We had written a book around money and business, and he pointed out in this first session that she was my upper limit, and it was so.
But that's who he was talking about in that video.
Yeah, so true. But I couldn't leave her. I was so in love with our partnership and being a band, and not being solo. And so that was like a whole dramatic situation. But The Big Leap is like, you really need to understand that. I
need to revisit that now that I've been kind of stuck at Diamond for a few years, I think. Yeah.
And then when I met Louise Hay at Mirrorwall Spa, I also met this guy. He's a cowboy. He's called Wyatt Webb. He's right here. And this book is called It's Not About the Horse. It's about...
I'm going to write that down, because I'm really into horses and I've been doing cowboy lessons.
It's about self-sabotage and getting out of addiction. And even though you're not addicted to alcohol or cigarettes, we are all addicted to something, working too much or playing small or whatever. And I attended a workshop where we had to go up to this big horse called Elvis. and you had to demand that the horse would lift the leg. And you could only do that if you were, you know, your authentic self, because horses are not following commands by people who have masks on and are putting up a front. So that taught me about, you know, all I have is me. I can't fake it. I can only be successful being me. And I went back home and I really created, you know, a whole certification program around being me. And
Wow.
yeah, so that
So
was,
was that the first thing you did, or that was after the book?
this was after the course that when I came home from America, I switched things around, and I chose myself, and I left that woman that I had a business with, and created my own stuff. And he taught me a
What
lot.
did she think about gay? She must have not liked that advice very much. Oh,
But she was not very happy, you know.
sorry, I just want to write that down. What was the name of that in case we missed it?
Not about the horse.
No.
The point is that the horse is a mirror, and our results in our life, that's a mirror too. So if we want to change that, we have to change, you know, our own energy and the way we show up, and then the horse will lift its leg, and that could be then the PD will land, or whatever, the million or the guy, or yeah.
Wow, maybe that's why I'm so drawn to horses.
Yeah, maybe.
Because when I was doing the lessons, there's only like one, maybe two places in all of Ireland that does the American style. And I intuitively felt like drawn to this man that owned this ranch because I thought he was a bit eccentric, and I like eccentric kind of cool people that just live their truth.
Yeah.
And anyways, when I went, it was like, I just, again, such a vortex place for me. There's nowhere like that. I just don't think of anything else. But I'm scared when I'm there too. I feel like fear of the horse. And I can't do it now because I'm pregnant and the lockdowns and all that. But, and I do miss it actually. But he said, you know, Linda, you have to command the horse. Like the horse is reading your mind telepathically. And if he's sensing this fear, or you just want to be gentle like you are with your cats, he's gonna like run all over the place. And I'm like, but he's so cute, I don't want to like pull too hard. And he's like, Linda, do you want to learn to ride? So I just, that's so interesting, like that an animal can pick up on what you're thinking and the energetics and all of that. So yeah, I love the horse thing.
And the universe is exactly the same. We're mirrored back whatever we're sending out. So it's important what we're sending out, and we can change.
And that's like such a tough lesson sometimes to take in, you know, like when I heard Vanessa Jean and Adam's webinar, The Gifts of the Oils, yesterday, and the whole like energy, you could feel it was like, what is this? This is some crazy energy on this webinar. The comments were going crazy, and just the way they talk, it's so like floral language, like, and it just feels such a passion for the product. You can see why, how successful they are. And I remember getting off and going, wow, I can see now, like I'm coming at some of my classes, my things I've done at trade shows and all these things with very limited success for the effort I put in, you know, making it harder than it needed to be, because like I wasn't speaking that kind of level of truth or that kind of understanding or whatever. So, and I said to my husband when I went in the kitchen, and he just was laughing. He was like, sometimes I wonder at the fact that we got to Diamond at all the things we were doing, you know. But I think it's good because, and this is a good point to make to anyone that's watching, you know, you have people like you who have already done such a great amount of work and spiritual and have maybe gifts intuitively and business success. And that's fantastic because we need to see these type of people drawn into the company, not afraid of network marketing or the brand. Or like I have one lady, actually, she's my coach, and she's a really good hypnotist and NLP expert and teacher, and she really wants to like get more money, like you're saying. She's realizing now that there's only so many hours in the day, and I keep saying to her, look, you love the oils, you'd build a team really fast, but her big hang up is like, yeah, but then people will think I'm not that good at what I do, that I have to do something else, or they might think I'm like diluting my brand. And I'm like, you need to watch when I talk to Christine because she was bigger than you and she's done it with such grace and ease because it felt right. So what could we do if we do find a big fish, you could call it like that, someone who has really good success? How could we get them to realize that doTERRA can fit into what they do, or not dilute their brands or make them like a negative thing? I was curious what advice you'd have, because it's probably a lot of us that could go and talk more about doTERRA to these people, but we're afraid of the rejection or, you know, whatever.
I just always try things out. Just like when I did with the horse exercise, I go up, I do my best. If it's a no, then I'm okay with it. You know, it's very simple, I find. And if people are making it up like, oh, it doesn't fit into my brand or whatever, maybe they're not completely ready. Maybe they haven't said yes to doTERRA yet. And that's okay too. So
it took you a while too, didn't it? Didn't you like, or did you not know about the brand till you?
I met the oils in my sister's hair salon in 2012, and I had so many hang-ups around network marketing, so I didn't want to, I didn't even want to buy the oils from the woman. I bought them on Amazon, and now I've learned that you don't do that, because then you'll get, you know, oils that are not really clean and all that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready until May 19. So it took me 7 years, and I feel like doTERRA is such an
Wow, wait a minute. So you heard about them 7 years before you went ahead?
Yeah. And I didn't at that time in 12. I had just, you know, that was the year that I did the horse workshop. It was the year when I chose myself, and I had 7 years with my education and my certification. So I needed to go through that whole, I can make millions on my own. And now I'm ready for more ease and not teaching the way I did back then, but I needed that journey pretty much. So I have a lot of respect for people's journey, and when they're saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm like, oh, okay, great, she's not ready. And I always say, just contact me when things change, you know, and they do. And I respect that they're just, you know, in a process.
And the person that signed you up, Christine, is she doing the business now?
Yes, she was attending my certification program, and I certified.
She was one of your students.
Yeah, and on the night I certified,
wow.
She had a headache. So I got out my Amazon past tense and I treated her headache, and she was like, whoa, that's pretty powerful stuff. She then, you know, did yoga and got onto Elena Brower and signed up with her. And then she began asking me for, I think, half a year. And I think she asked me 6 times. And the 6th time I said, no, I'm not doing that. That's for people who are not knowing what to do with their life, and they don't know how to do business. And I had all these excuses and whatever. And then one day she said, Elena asked me if there's someone that you want to give a present. And would you like a natural, what's that called? The Kid Natural Solutions set is one of the sets. And she said, would you want one for free? And I thought, oh, now I really have to consider, do I say yes? Because now I'm opening that door. But I felt like saying yes. It felt intriguing. But just to be sure, I said no. And then I did a workshop in May with Elena Brower. And when she passed the frankincense around, I was like, whoa, I want to do this. So the oil was what I needed, you know, the frankincense, to open my, you know, whatever understanding of this is your next.
And you didn't sign up with Elena Brower directly. You did sign up with the lady who introduced you.
She was hosting the workshop and Elena was teaching. So I signed up with her. Yeah.
Wow. That's a really interesting story to tell people not to give up trying, you know, and I'm sure you now when you look back, you're grateful that that lady kept inviting you.
I know, and I do the same. I ask people again, one woman, she became very angry with me, and she was like, "You've asked me once, and now you're asking me twice." And I was like, "Yes, because I had to be asked 6 times, and I think it's so stupid that you're not acting on this." And she was like,
Yeah.
"This is spam, and you're never to contact me." So I thought, okay, I'm not going to ask her again, you know. But
So was this somebody that you knew or you didn't know her?
someone I knew that had
Oh.
taken, or someone who teaches chemical-free lifestyle, someone,
Oh.
a ton of mothers who could become a diamond in 6 months like me, but she wasn't ready. And she was in that whole phase of doing her own stuff and all that stuff. So yeah.
I have definitely one, like, I can be quite good at asking people because over the years, I've been very limited nearly. Like, I'll pick only very special people. And I always think it's like I'm giving you a gift by asking you,
Yeah.
because I don't like to be spammy or ask random people. It's just not me. When I do it, I put all my heart and intention, and it's like I really want to work with you because boom. And I'm prepared that they may have no interest or whatever, but that's cool. I've done my part. I've given you the gift of the information and that. But I have one lady now, I have to be honest. I really like her. She's a friend from a breastfeeding group. She's a natural leader, beautiful. Like, she's my idol for birthing. She had her baby under the tree in the backyard with her 2 kids. And she's just like, I'm making a little altar to have a positive birth experience. And I bought a statue of a lady that has like really long leaves as her hair and a sun and a moon. And I was like, I want her to remind me of this lady because she's just like Mother Earth, Gaia, beautiful goddess, you know? And I really like, I can see she wouldn't be making that much money teaching like one yoga class every 6 weeks with 8 people. And I'd love to share the doTERRA with her, but yeah, I just keep feeling like it's not the right time. And then I'm like checking in and thinking, is it not the right time, or are you afraid, you know? So I started doing her pregnancy yoga course because I really want to learn from her positive birthing stuff. And anybody that could be a role model would be like her, you know, to be hearing all that. So I'm kind of like, okay, at some point you need to like just give her this gift of the information. And what's the worst that could happen? She's going to think, oh, she's trying to get me into, you know, or I was thinking maybe I should give her the yoga collection as a gift to say thank you for all the yoga classes and stuff. But would you have any tips or advice on even me? I'm still like kind of scared with certain people because I really value her as a friend, and I don't want to ruin that relationship with her.
I think it's good to do their courses or show up in a non-attached way, and then create the connection. But I also think you should approach people that are just a little bit outside of your comfort zone, not way out of your comfort zone, because then it's too much of a gap. Um,
Yeah.
and I think when I finish my team, I want to do my second team. We can do that. When you become a presidential diamond, you get to do it all over again. And with my second team, I'm only going to ask for 6 people like me, you know? And that should be easy. 6 people like me, they can do a platinum in 4 months. And then I
I love that idea, Christine. Do you know why? Because with the first 6, maybe some of those people you wanted to bring them up and teach them and nurture them and do that. So, but then the next 6, maybe, you know, I deserve to have it a bit quicker, a bit easier. Yeah. And then obviously, if you're presidential, you're going to attract
yes.
a whole nother thing. Yeah. That's a great idea.
I'm just going to do like a job interview. Like, you know, they need to have a tribe. They need to have a certain experience in business and all the things that I now understand is like a shortcut in this business.
Mm.
With it. So I think it's like having kids. The first is always the biggest learning and all that stuff. But the second can be a little bit easier, you know, because you know a little bit
And
more.
the third, is that really easy? Or is it just craziness?
I'm open for it. Yeah.
I actually just one bit of advice just to share with you because you've been so kind with us. When you're building your English team, well, first of all, please build something in Ireland or London because then I can really support that and you can come here and we could do loads of cool stuff together. But even when you're not here, like they can be part of our community and we'll totally nurture that for you. But one thing I found worked very well last year for me was I picked 3 people, and I set myself the goal. I was like, okay, you ask 3 people to look at doTERRA as an option for them. Just 3, it's not that overwhelming, and pick the best 3 people that feels good in your heart to share, that you think would make it, or that you want to work with because they're just so loving, beautiful people, but they could definitely have the right skills. And so that's what I did. But what I did, which worked very, very well, I gently just sent them a video, and I'll send you the link when we get off the call, and I'll put it into the comments, which was a couple from America. And they did you've probably heard loads of times about the top, I think it's top 7 qualities of the doTERRA leaders. Have you heard that? Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason this video works really well is because first of all, I'm telling them why I think they would succeed, right? Because I've done some thinking and not just spamming you and going, yeah. And because, yeah, they're probably a woman of a certain age group who has already some business experience, and they have an interest in natural health. They have a support network, or, you know, they have influence, all these things. And when I send the video, I just say, like, look, I've been meaning to say this to you because I really like you, because blah, blah, blah. And I would love to work with someone like you. But when I see this video, I feel like I need to show it to you. So just watch it. It's very short, and I'd love to hear what you think. And anyways, all 3 of those people, maybe not at the time, but they all came back to me later that year and said, I'm ready now, Linda, and thank you for sending me that video. And the other thing that's great about the video, because it's short, the couple look really like nice and professional, but they very casually drop in like how much you can earn, and you know, you can see how they work together if the people you're asking are in a relationship or whatever. I don't know, I just thought it was one of the best ways I've gone about it over the years with like my chicken list, you know, my people that I'm like, I really would love to work with them, and I know they'd be good. If I send the video, I don't have to do that much talking. It's very gentle. And yeah, so if you're looking to build an English team, that video, I think it's quite good. And then, yeah, my plan is eventually I'll make my own video. But maybe sometimes it's good to send someone else's video, not your own, because they know you and they're like, oh yeah, whatever, that's just Linda talking, you know. But yeah, so that one I thought was good.
I have some questions.
Bunch of comments coming through. I'm on the mobile, so I can't see the chat box.
Isn't most of being a leader in doTERRA about being a coach? You would still be coaching. I'm not coaching in my team, not a lot. So we do a monthly builders meeting. It's 2 hours. And then sometimes I'll do like 6 Tuesdays or whatever. I say a little bit, but then we do a lot of tapping. So I'm not coaching people. I'm not asking them, why haven't you found any builders? Why are you not this and that? I don't do strategy sessions unless people knock on my door asking for it. So that was a big shift for me. I'm active in my Facebook group. I share stuff and I answer stuff, but I'm not holding people's visions that they are not willing to, you know, work for themselves. So that was a big thing for me. Yes, and I'm happy to come to Ireland. I have one builder from England, and I love that whole area.
What area is she in, Christine?
She's just an hour outside of London. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And then
I could see when you had the picture on your website with the taxi, the London taxi, I got like a vision of us doing a workshop in London with my girls, and I thought, oh, that would be so much fun. Because you said you liked London, right? It's one of your
England and everything about that. I did a photo shoot from there. I need to do one from Denmark because I need to show, you know, the Nordic way of living. But I was just loving that, so I thought I'm just going to do a photo shoot in London.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was there any other comments, or was that it?
Someone's asking, do you send a video of yourself or do you send a video of the other couple, the one you were?
No, I always send the other couple because number one, I wasn't even in the headspace to be making videos at that point. I didn't feel like up for good quality YouTube videos or anything. But I think that because it was a different couple, these are people I know, I don't know if they would have taken it so seriously if I was making the video, if I was the person in the video. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, I have put it up in our business group, but I will put that again and I'll share it, exactly what I wrote, and you can see the why that video is so powerful and simple, and anybody could do that, you know. And but my advice would be, yeah, just pick like really key, it's really in your heart to ask. Don't just start sending out that video to everybody, you know. That would be just so bad. We don't want that on our team. We want to just keep it really authentic and sincere and stuff. So when you're doing your monthly like schedule, or how much time you put into the business, what do you spend most of your time doing? Is it creating content, or the Facebook groups, or your YouTube, or?
I don't do any budgets, and I don't even know how much time I'm working, and I couldn't tell you what I'm spending my time on. I know you're supposed to keep track of everything. I never have.
No, I don't either. I just go with what feels good, but I don't know if I'm right doing that sometimes.
I earn money, I spend money, I use my time on the things that I love, and if something doesn't feel good, I try not to do it again. But I love to work in groups, and I love to say things once and not have to repeat it to every builder on my team. It would make me completely crazy if I had to talk to every builder like solid days, and then have to do it all over again the month after. So I don't do that.
So you do a lot of Facebook Lives then into your group, is it? Or
I hate Facebook Live. You have to do up, and you have to do all the things, you know, we're doing now. So I like to be on live, but I do it once a week, and sometimes even just a few times a month. Yeah.
On a Facebook Live into your business group.
We
and
do Zoom calls, and we do that once a month, and we do it from 4 to 6, so people are off work. But I talk for an hour, and then we do a lot of tapping. So
wow, you've mentioned this tapping now 3 or 4 times, so that's also something Jessie Reimers, I remember she talked years ago, she brought this course in with Brad Yates, and I always thought with her, even before, yeah, I was like, there's something about her, she's tapped into something esoteric. It's not just luck or young kind of ambition, that she's onto something. She got up in the convention in Australia and started singing like a Sanskrit chant, the whole community. She was on with the tapping, and you can just tell, like, you know. And so this is what I'm trying to kind of, I hate saying trying, this is what I am bringing to my team now, that we look at all things that, you know, our tools, like you're saying, the tapping. So would you teach your team these tools, or bring experts in, or do you just leave them to their own device to figure it out for themselves? Or how do you bring your spiritual esoteric magic into your groups?
My best friend is, she does tapping, and she's an expert, and she can read voices. So she does
read voices.
So
what does that mean? Like the emotion in it?
You can sense if you're authentic or not, if you're blocked or not, and she can do it with a whole group. So she can.
Wow.
So that's very effective. So we do that a lot, because blocks and limitation is what's keeping us from what we want, and you know, so that's where we spend most of our time.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So the tapping for you is one of the biggest tools, you think, to help break through block.
Tapping, oils, crystals. Yeah. Healing.
And is there any specific, have you ever done crystal training, or again, do you just pick it up as you go into it?
Yeah, no, I don't want to learn about it. And I just wanted the crystal in my house that I couldn't fuck up. You know, it doesn't need to go outside in the moonlight. It's good. I can, you know, it's just there. It's easy. I'm all about ease. You know, because
yes, I've noticed that's the big word for you is ease, and I'm like, I love that word now. And just so everybody that's watching on this call, I don't know, Christine, you might put this on your YouTube channel or something, but Christine shared with me on her free ebook page, I think it had her link that she has an affiliate to Inagi. Is it affiliate you're doing for Inagi?
And you can all have 10%, I think, with my link. Yeah.
fabulous. Okay, so I'm definitely going to get my Inagis, I think, next paycheck, because I spent too much on my last paycheck on all these other crystals. But as soon as I saw that on the website, I was like, whoa, what is that? That's like a whole nother level of crazy crystal stuff. So so that's fabulous. And yeah, I mean, I've probably taken more time than you wanted to give me, so I'll shut my mouth now. But so loved that chat. I always feel so energized by you. And again, the way you always make ease your priority. I think that's like such a great motto to have in life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So guys, if anybody's watching the replay or watching live, I don't know who's on because I'm on my phone. I'm going to put up Christine's ebook, her Anagi link. Is there any other links? I put her YouTube channel up already. Everybody subscribe, help her out, support her. Like her videos. I'm all about ease. Let's get Christine a really big following in the English countries, so that will help all of us. And yeah, and Christine, please, if there's anything I can do for you, I know. Oh, you have the English lady builder, right? Do you have any other English-speaking customers, or they would not be able to really understand what I'm saying? I would imagine.
Everyone in Denmark understands English pretty well because
Oh, do they? Okay.
kind of have to in order to connect with more than 6 million people. So yeah.
I suppose that's why Ireland kind of abandoned their Celtic Irish language as the primary thing, because we're too small. Or maybe we were forced to. I don't know. I wasn't living in around that time. Or I need to check my Akashic records. I don't know if I was. I often wonder, like, was I always a Celt because I feel such an affinity? But then sometimes I have these dreams a lot about the Congo, and my husband swears that I was tortured at some point in the Congo, and that's why I need to do charity work for them. Yeah, he's like really convinced about that. So I don't know, but it's interesting. This whole Akashic records keeps coming up for me. Vanessa Jean does that as well. She's big into that. Yeah, she mentioned it on her call yesterday as well, and a couple other people, and yeah, so it sounds cool. There was, oh yeah, so I was going to say, if you want me to do anything business wise, I'll send you what I'm kind of the best at or my passions. But even like, are you really into skincare or any of the kind of more practical?
I have a lot of people on my team that are good at that, and I just
Okay, so you're good on that.
I follow what they're doing because it's easy. It's not something I have studied a lot. Yeah, but I'll ask for help anytime I need it.
Yeah, anytime you need a new speaker, fresh energy, or if you need help with anything in London, please, I want to return, because you've done 2 of wonderful talks for us now, and really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't want to get off the phone. I just love talking to you, Christine.
Now it's my responsibility to stop the recording, right? So
yeah.
Mm.